Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to work on the fenders for the 6.3, get those all scrubbed up, ready for priming. There's a lot of cleaning to do and prep work before I can even think of putting primer on those. So before we go and take a look at that, I had a little unfortunate incident earlier on in the week with the car in the background there, the one that is in the credits when the credits rolled. So let me show you what happened. So as you can see, it's had a little ding. Loaned it to a friend, and he went into a store, and apparently someone decided to back into it and not leave any information or anything like that for insurance purposes. But anyway, worst things happen at sea, I guess. This is the fender, if you remember, that I had primed. I did a patch panel in here, and I'd been driving around for a while meaning to blow this in and get it all painted up, but not just this fender but the whole kind of front, and tidy it up. But now this has happened, it's kind of prioritized that job. The lower light works, but the upper one's adios. And but anyway, that aside, what I noticed, as you can see, that patch held, didn't it? I mean, I'm pretty pleased with that, actually, because I would have expected, you know, an impact like that, it would have maybe split the patch or along the weld line, but it didn't. It just folded in just along with the surrounding metal. So seems like the patches are nice and strong that I'm doing. So that's one benefit of having your car smashed in. But with the 108, 109 models, obviously, unlike a Pagoda, which would have been a nightmare, these just unbolt. So I've got a couple of these kicking around, and one of my buddies on the group has offered a surround. I don't think I've got one, but and then I'm going to obviously need all the headlight holder and at the back there. But that's something we'll get to in the coming months. It's not a big priority. It still drives fine. We'll do that as a project. Maybe take the two fenders off. That one's shot anyway because it's got that rust hole on the top, and then reshoot the bonnet there and the cowling by the windscreen wipers. And because it's a two-tone car, I can break the whole lower section of the car into one, and then when I've got time I can reshoot the top. But this is something I'll do whenever I have 5 minutes. Anyway, so let's go and take a look at those 6.3 fenders, see what we got going on down there. So what we've been doing here, I worked the other fender, obviously getting all this under seal off of it, because you can't go just spraying on top of that. I want to get primer on here first, and then whatever material I decide on finishing the underside with, and then body color. So this is covered in some typical rubberized type stuff, you know, like a tar bitumen type stuff. And I want to also check underneath this stuff for any rust. And quickest way I've found of getting this off is with a heat gun, and you've got to be very quick with it. You can't be, you know, I'll show you. This is how fast I'm going with it. I'm picking an area. Oops. That's about it. I don't want to heat up much more than that, because risk warping the panel, and it comes off pretty easy. It's not that bad. Obviously it's going to leave a gummy residue that then I'll come in, wipe it with some thinners, and wire brush, and several coats of that, because you've got to get this off. Primer won't stick to this stuff. So that is what I've been doing. Okay, this is the bolting flange edge, and this had a bunch of kind of mastic or rubberized coating that, you know, because then it bolts to the car, and then so you've not got metal to metal. And so I got all that off with heat, scraped that off pretty easy. But as you can see evidence of beginning rust. That's the sort of thing I want to make sure that we get before we go any further. So not too bad. This was obviously the driver's side fender, and as you know, that fender receiving lip on the car was really rotted out. So This is probably a replacement wing, I'm thinking, but anyway, so that's what I'm doing here, just cleaning all this old tar off. All of our edges, all of these rolled edges are in good shape, as is all of these pods. They get vulnerable up the back here, you know, mud gets trapped, moisture gets trapped, and that's when you get rust out of there. That's going to be a bit of a tricky area to clean out, so I've been using wire brush to get right in there and get it as clean as possible, get all the loose rubbishy stuff off, and then several coats with wax and grease remover, airline, just get it as clean as possible, because as I say, the primer certainly won't stick to this stuff. Just working my way around the light pod here. This little thing here is the drainage hole, so you know, with excessive use of that underbody sealer and stuff, you could see where that could get blocked, so you might want to check that. Also, you can see a little bit of surface rust forming underneath here, but nothing too bad actually. A little bit here underneath the tarry stuff, but nothing horrendous. So obviously, if you're using a lacquer thin or anything flammable, no more torch. That goes without saying, obviously. And from this point on, it's just, you know, wire brushing so get all the tar off as much as you can before you introduce any of this stuff. Otherwise, this will ruin your day. Okay, so just give it a good scrubbing, get all that kind of residual muck off. That's working quite well, so working a smaller section at a time. Show you what comes up, all that. So I'm just going to work my way around it. See how it comes up. Right, now I've stripped all of the under seal off. It's real tricky trying to get in around the light pod there, but what someone's done, you see that black residue there, that's what's called e-coat that comes on panels, you know, from the supplier, or because I don't think this is original, and someone just, what you're supposed to do is key that up and then treat the metal with, say, an epoxy, and then build it up and then put your treatment on top of that and then paint. But all they did was spray a bunch of rubbery crap all over it, and so it was a bit of a bare, and bare steel was just below. So luckily there's only slight surface rust right here where the stone shield goes, and a few areas here, but nothing has taken real hold, so that's a bonus. So what I'm going to do now is give it a good scrubbing with the bonderite acid etching material. Give it a good scrubbing with that, working all the corners, because I'm going to do the insides first, primer coat, and what I'm thinking, do my edges and all that, and then mask off here, and then put my stone chip material on the underside here, just similar to the other one, because the other's got a sort of a textured stone chip that I think's fine, and that's not disturbed, it's not cracked at all, and so I'll probably just copy that, and then eventually this will get a dusting of the white or whatever ended up body color end up doing. So let's get this scrubbed down. Also, those of you with 108s, 109s, and probably W111s as well, these are the mount holes onto the outer rocker. This is a drain hole, so when water does get in here, it's supposed to drain out here behind the trim. So that's why I take the splash shields off, to make sure all this is clean of debris, make sure all that's clear, this hole is clear, because as you've probably seen them, they rust out here. Really work it into this corner here. There's a lot of folds of metal there. Hidden rust can hide and all that now. Right, I'm going to clean this outside, coat this, get rid of all the rubbish that's wicked round. But as I say, I'm not priming the outside yet. I want to do the inside first. See that? Remember my patch I did some time ago? A little circular patch there and the screw holes. It's come in quite nicely. So just scrubbing everything up. I may go over it because I'm not priming today. I'm going to prime tomorrow, but I'll probably go over this again in the morning. I just wanted to get the main finish off all the main under seal off of it, give it a good old scrub, see all this residue that pours through from the other side. So see, it's coming up real nice. Now that that's all been washed down, it's back in the shop, it's dried off. I towel dried it and I'll just give it a tack rag over, but I'm using a temperature gauge just to panel temperatures about, well, wait a minute, 71 degrees, which is pretty good, kind of ideal for spraying. Thing is, when you go too hot, obviously the finishes are hitting the panel and drying too fast. I'm using a slow reducer, so with the regular furniture finish, I like to finish it relatively close to that sort of temperature. Too hot, it starts to dry too fast. I use what's called retarders in finishes, but this is a slow reducer in the paint, so that should be fine. Okay, I'm not getting too close to it because I don't want to kick up any dust, but that's 2 coats on the hood. You see it's got a slight sheen to it, but that kind of goes to a nicer, flatter tone after it dries like that on the hood there. See, comes out really nice actually. So I'll get 1 more coat on that, and then I'll jump over to the fenders and probably just get 2 coats on the underside, just so any chip guard that I use bonds to it. And I have, let me get out of here. Alright, this is the other fender. Now this had a little bit of a paint on it that was really good and not disturbed, and it had a kind of a texture to it, some kind of heavy chip guard paint on it. I thought it was silly to try and strip all that off, so I cleaned it, thoroughly cleaned it, and all this dustiness, I'm key sanding it with 120. The reason I'm using 120, because of the little dimples, the 120 flexes a little bit and scores up the lows as well as just the highs. If you use a really stiff 80 or something, it's just going to skim over the top. So I want to get all the lows, remove any shininess, so I get a good mechanical bond with the primer.
Alright, one of the fenders here. I'm going to do the pod first, do all my corners, edges, and then the inner field here. I'm turning the pressure down a little bit. If you have it too high, it tends to blast out at the corners, so I'm lowering the pressure for all the corners. I'm also narrowing the fan so it gets in there a little bit better. We got a bit low, eh? Alright, let me pressurize the pot again. Basically loosen it. Helps you spray upside down, you see. Then I've got to do this edge here.
This is our one that we cleaned up, got all that greasy muck off. I'm not seeing any cratering or any fish eyeing or anything like that, so we're pretty good on getting all the contaminants out of it. And then I'll find myself a nice textured. You can still see my weld thing there. I'm not worried about that on the inside. I'd rather leave a bit of weld on the inside for strength, and then that'll be hidden by the textured stone chip stuff. But yeah, that come out well. I'll just put one more coat on there. And this is the one that had the texture stuff on it. Well, that's the third coat on the hood and single coats on the inner fenders. I got another coat to put on there, and that's about it for today. So I'm nearly through. I've got a little bit of the gallon left, probably about 15% of the gallon left. And so I've done top and bottom of the hood, top of the trunk lid, obviously 2 doors inside and out, and the fenders inside, and 3 coats on everything. So you can see, you know, amount of coverage, but you're gonna have to buy some more, obviously. Gonna have to at least another gallon for the rest of the car, maybe even more, to get a good 3 coats on, and then I can start my fill work and all that good stuff. So, while there's still a little primer in the gun, I had these rear air containers, you know, for the air suspension. I put a lick of primer on those. Don't want the primer to go to waste because it's not cheap stuff. So I got 1 coat on that. I think I got enough in the gun to do another coat on that. So I'm just letting that flash off, and then there won't be any waste. Well, I think that's it for today. I hope you're enjoying the man, I haven't got my glasses on. Can't even see whether I'm in focus or not. That's better. Anyway, so I hope you're enjoying these sproing videos. Obviously a lot more of that's coming up. Wanted to get all these sealed up. I'd love to hear any comments. Oh, one comment, a gentleman did comment just the other day on the tops of the doors where the chrome trim goes on, not to build up that receiving edge too much, otherwise too much bulky paint, you won't get get the trim back on. Very good point. So I will probably hold off on that, maybe even tape it or something. You know, it's got plenty of primer on it now. 1 or 2 coats of light paint and then that's it, and then tape it off. So thanks for that, appreciate it. I will see you in the next one, and sometime later this year we'll jump on the 4.5 and do some repairs on the front. That might even get painted before this one, because obviously this isn't ready yet, and I have it as a kind of a test bed for the 6.3. Also there's other work I'd like to do on it. You've got subframe mounts, you've got engine mounts, I bought those a long time ago, and timing chain, all the basics, you know. So do a video series on getting that car, because that's my daily runner. I want a reliable, solid car that I drive every day. So thanks for that again, guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye-bye.